Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jen. I am the host of Blockchain Banter and contributor at Bancor. I'm here with Glenn, also a contributor at Bancor. Glenn, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to be going through concentrated liquidity. In case anyone missed the exciting announcement, Bancor deployed both Carbon DeFi and the ARB Fastlane on Sei V2, currently live. Anyone can go in, create concentrated liquidity positions, create orders. We, however, are going to be focusing on concentrated liquidity today. Glenn, thank you so
Yeah, no, that's
much for sharing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say thanks for having me, and that's a nice intro that you have there. Definitely want to showcase concentrated liquidity on Carbon. There's a few ways that we can sort of achieve some of these things, and I think the protocol now that it's live on Sei V2, we can actually do this in a non-DevNet environment. I think last week,
Right?
last week we're doing stuff in DevNet, so now that it's live and Sei V2 is up and running, Carbon is up and running, we can actually show you this for real now.
Yeah, no, I think that is an amazing point. Also, I think it's great to, I mean, the last time we did this, it was wonderful because we went through the entire, Carbon DeFi and features and benefits and things. But now we can kind of focus on different parts, right? There are different ways that users, depending on what they're looking to accomplish, can interact with Carbon DeFi. So I think that this is nice to do a little bit more of a focus call and kind of walk through also. Although this is kind of more of just like a showing, right? You're actually going to be creating a concentrated liquidity position for everyone to actually see, not just like you said, the DevNet.
Right. I have two in mind here that I'm gonna be creating, right?
Okay.
And it's they're both concentrated liquidity in the sense that you're concentrating the liquidity at certain price points, right? Which Carbon lets you do. It's just that one is going to be overlapping and the other one is going to be non-overlapping, right? So this is how we're sort of going to go through this walkthrough, two different type of strategies, both concentrated liquidity. And that way, you get an idea of like what Carbon is capable of. And if you want to, do something similar, you certainly can with any token pair that's available in Sei V2.
I didn't realize you were going to be doing two. Now I'm even more excited. I think that's going to be great. And
Yep.
we'll make sure to kind of throw everything in there. So if anyone isn't familiar with concentrated liquidity or providing liquidity, if you're new to DeFi, right? Some of these things can sound a little bit intimidating, but they're all very simple things to really kind of get familiar with. And it's a very simple UI to interact with.
For sure.
So you're on Sei.CarbonDeFi.xyz. I'm going to post it here so that everybody who's following along can actually see. Why don't you kind of start us off while I do that? Do you mind?
Yeah, let me start off. So you should be familiar with our interface here for Carbon by now. If not, I'll just quickly go over it. So we have the My Strategies tab, my Strategies section here. This is where you view your strategies. Trade is where you trade, and Explore. Obviously, this is where you can view like strategies across all of Carbon. So we're gonna go to My Strategies. I'm gonna have a few already created because I was testing this out. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create strategies. Right here, I am gonna be doing a stablecoin trading pair, and that's gonna be USDT and USDC. So the first one that I'm gonna start off with, it's the non-overlapping. So we're gonna do recurring orders, right? And for our recurring order, we're gonna do two limit orders here, right?
Okay.
So limit order is essentially it's concentrating your liquidity at a specific price point, right? So this is super concentrated, meaning that you're not spreading this across a range. You're not spreading this between like 0 and infinity, which is their constant product type of behavior. But this is at a specific price point, right? So what we're going to do here is
Really simple terms. You are
Yep.
buying and or selling, right? In this case, buying and selling at two specific price points. You're going to buy at one, you're going to sell at another. Whatever the user wants to achieve, they're doing this with, the one specific price point.
Correct. So here we have our two orders, right? The sell order and the buy order. Remember that these orders are linked together, and if one order fills, then that liquidity rotates automatically to the other. So we're gonna buy USDT. We're gonna fill this order first. I'm gonna say here I'm gonna buy it at 0.99 cents, right? So essentially, this will happen if USDT slightly depegs, right? Then I'm going to be buying it with USDC. And I'm just going to throw up, let me say, just like $2 or 2 USDC here, right? For this order. So with 2 USDC, I'm going to be buying USDT at 0.99 USDC per 1 USDT, right? So if it depegs, then I'm going to buy it. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sell it at I can do 1.01.
Well, and in reality, right, as much as we like, as much as it's stable, we want it to be stable. And I say we, just, DeFi users, it's like you want it to be one. It really never is, right? It kind of bounces a little bit, right? So I like
Yeah,
this of like stable, you know what I mean? It's a very simple way, in my opinion, anyway,
right,
to
for
be
sure.
able to trade these two without a whole lot of risk. If you're confident in the two stable coins that you are looking to trade, right?
Yeah, so this is like I would say like USDT against USDC. Like this trading pair is pretty much always trading 1-to-1, unless something drastic happens with either one of these tokens. Like USDC, it did have a depeg. I want to say last year,
So like
right?
8 cents, right? Something like that.
It went down to like 90 cents on the dollar or
Yeah.
something like that. It was, I think, one of the banks, essentially, where Circle kept some of their funds, went bankrupt. And I think that accounted for like a tenth or like 1/20th of the reserves, right? So that's why they depegged. But for the most part, both of these are battle tested. They're both run by companies, I would say, that have been around for a while, right? And they have a lot of, I would say, they put out like reports, I guess you can call them like attestation reports, where it sometimes shows you like how much money they have in the bank and how much stable coins they have out there, right? So fairly, I would say these two stable coins are fairly safe, but for other stable coins that you encounter in DeFi, whether that is like over collateralized stable coins, right? The Ethereum or any other type of token like BTC, etc. Some of these coins do tend to not always trade at the dollar, right? Or 1-to-1. They might not have a peg that's hard at a dollar, and then when that happens, right, when it goes off peg, it either goes on the downside or on the upside. And what you can do is essentially try to capture those moments, right? You can buy it when it's at a slight discount and then sell it when it's at a slight premium, right? And this is how you would typically make your gains here, right? If you're buying
Well,
below, selling,
sorry, go
selling.
ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say that, like, we're talking about stables quite a bit here, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if we said in the beginning, and this is just something that I really want to put some emphasis on, is that this isn't just stables. You don't just have to do a stable with another stable. Any of these sorts of strategies, what they're called, right? Trading pairs that anybody wants to create and trade on Carbon DeFi, you can make that pair out of whatever any standard ERC20 tokens that you would like to. So although Glenn is doing USDC and USDT, you can go in there and choose your two favorite meme coins. You can choose a stable and a meme. You can choose your DeFi blue chip and your favorite meme token. You can pair these however you'd like to pair them and capture the volatility of the two tokens that you've just created your trading pair with.
Correct. You can do any two standard ERC20 tokens. There is no limitations on carbon. I think the only thing that we tell people is if it's a tax token that has a fee on transfer, or it's a rebasing token, then we don't support those. But everything else is fair game.
Yeah, those aren't supported. Yep. Okay.
Cool.
The
So this
recurring,
strategy,
go
yeah.
ahead.
So this strategy right now, it's set up to buy at 0.99 and sell at 1. Right. We've funded this with 2 USDC. So the buy order, will buy it with 2 USDC, and then we've also funded the sell order with 2 USDT. So we would sell 2 USDT for USDC at this price point, and then buy at this price point our USDT with USDC. Right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to proceed here, and create this strategy. Let me go ahead, and I have
It
to.
might be a little bit different because we're actually doing it on a live stream, right?
Yeah, I'm doing this on the live stream, so I have to like approve this on a device that I have, and it's gonna be just a few seconds, and then it's
Well,
good.
you do that, Glenn. Maybe I can go back a minute. This recurring strategy that Glenn is creating right now is, in case you missed the previous call, or if I could just refresh your memory here for a minute. This is what I consider to be like an automated 24/7 sort of buy low, sell high strategy. This is on repeat. So as Glenn mentioned, if you have your buy order, right? If that fills, whatever tokens you acquire from that order automatically rotate to fund your sell. So as long as there's any sort of volatility, right? There's any sort of this ranging, this strategy that you create will continue to execute and continue to trade those tokens. So you're not only automatically having this execute, depending on how exactly you set this up, but it will auto compound all of the profits, anything that you're making. It will automatically be added back in, fund the opposite order. And this will continue for the life of the strategy as long as those tokens are trading within that, those price points that you've created. Go ahead, Glenn. I see you've approved.
Yeah. So yeah, so this strategy was created already. You can see under, I'm back to my strategies. You can see that 34 is the strategy because I funded this one with 2 USDC and then 2 USDT. You can see our UI here. It shows you that at a price of 0.99 USDC per 1 USDT, right? This is where I'm buying. And at this price of 1 USDC per 1 USDT is where I'm selling, right? So this thing has $4 in it. So we'll see if it hits, right? Like if for whatever reason this USDT depegs, then I'm going to buy it and then at 0.99 and then sell it at 1, right? But typically, I would say that doesn't really happen with these two tokens, just because they have been around for a while. But any other stable coins that are not these, like things like GHO from Aave, or like Curve USD from Curve, right? LUSD, these other coins, right? They might not be so stable, right? So they do have these periods where they do trade below the peg and sometimes above the peg. These are like quite good, right? If you can sort of capture these discrepancies between or these price discrepancies, right? And then whenever it's back to peg or above the peg, you can sort of capture those profits for yourself.
Yep.
Cool. So that is like two limit orders
right now. This is the overview page. Once a strategy is created, once you've created your position here, right? It will take you to the My Strategies page. And this is where you'll see all of the overviews for every position that you have open on Carbon DeFi.
Yep. So yeah, so this is the one we created. So now we're going to create another type of concentrated liquidity
This is
position.
kind of something that some might be a little bit more familiar with. Recurring strategies, this is something that is unique to Carbon DeFi and like its licensed deployments, right? On Sei, it's the native deployment, so anybody will see it is Carbon DeFi. But this is a newer technology that Bancor had invented that powers Carbon DeFi. You might not be familiar with it, maybe a little bit of a learning curve, which is why Glenn and I and anybody, any of the contributors will always say, like, we're always open for questions. But really, it's as simple as I want to buy here, I want to sell here, and I want it to rotate and continue to execute. This sort of concentrated liquidity position that you're going to create now is something that may seem a little bit more familiar if somebody has provided any sort of liquidity or created any sort of a position on UMI V3 or any of these traditional concentrated liquidity AMMs, right?
Right. That's correct. So what we did right now was the non-overlapping strategy with two concentrated liquidity positions, or two limit orders in this case, right? Where you're buying low and selling high. Now this one is the concentrated liquidity position with overlapping liquidity, which is what people are familiar with if you're using Uniswap V3 or some other concentrated liquidity type of solution that's similar. So I already went ahead and selected my trading pair. What you can see here, it's asking me to set a price. This is because Sei V2 is so new that we don't have pricing data for tokens yet, right? So eventually, a lot of those Sei V2 tokens are going to be on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, and all these other sites, and then we'll have pricing data, and you wouldn't have to do this. But for now, I'm going to enter it manually. I'm just going to say it's going to be 1, right? The USDT market price is missing, so it's asking me to enter it in terms of USDC. So I'm going to say 1 USDC per 1 USDT, right? Let's go ahead and say I have reviewed the warnings. I chose to proceed, confirm. Now, this is your overlapping strategy, right? So you can select your min buy price and your max sell price, right? And we can use the slider here or type it in manually. If I use the slider, you'll see that this thing will auto update on the bottom, right? As I'm sort of making this more concentrated, right? You can see it updating down there, right? So this is the cool thing. You can also do the opposite where we can say 0.99 here, 1.01 here, right? So this is essentially right now it's 1-to-1, right? This is the price that we set. So 0.99 is 1% below, and 1.01 is 1% above. So what we can do here is set a spread. So this is what you call the fee tier on other dexes that are concentrated liquidity, right? We're going to choose 0.01. This is just 1 basis point. Typically for like stable trading pairs, 1 basis point is the common fee tier, but you can certainly do something else or set your own custom fee tier, right? We don't restrict you. We give you some options here, but this is totally up to you as to what you set that fee tier to or the spread. And obviously, the spread is what you end up capturing as your profits, right? When this concentrated liquidity position is being traded against either via an aggregator or someone trading directly via Carbon, right? Or someone that's doing like on-chain arbitrage, right? They want to capture price discrepancies. Your strategy will trade, and then you capture that spread or fee for yourself, right? So now it's going to ask us to select a token to proceed, right? We'll just do USDT. It's going to ask me how many I want to put in. I'm going to say I'm going to put in 20. And here it's telling me that I will need to deposit 20 USDT to create this strategy, and also 20.20 USDC, right? For this strategy, right? So this is overlapping liquidity. We'll need to essentially provide both tokens here. So we'll do that now. Yeah, go ahead and send this transaction. It's going to take a few seconds. Good thing is that Sei V2 is relatively it's cheap to interact with, pennies on the dollar, and it's very, very quick. So it doesn't take too long to confirm. And just like that, it's now done. Right. So the one that I created, it's down here, right? And you can see the range that I selected here. So 0.99 to 1.01, right? One is doing the buying here, and the other one is doing the selling. These are both overlapping. So as this goes up in price, right, I am selling USDT for USDC, right? And the opposite occurs if it goes down in this direction, right? So that just gives you like a visualization as to what the funding looks like on this strategy, essentially.
That's awesome. Glenn, I want to do a quick run through of them. I also, for everybody who's watching, thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. If you have questions, you can also comment for us to look at and to answer right now on the call. But I wanted to kind of take a second because this is something that should be, again, like I said, if you've created a concentrated liquidity position, this should be very familiar, right? Somewhere else on an AMM or something of the sort. It should be familiar. The main differences are one, when you're creating a concentrated liquidity position on a traditional AMM, you kind of have to look at the pools, right? With CarbonDeFi, I know we've mentioned it previously for the recurring orders. You can pair any two standard ERC20 tokens and create your own concentrated liquidity position, right?
Right.
Okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's correct. You can create your own concentrated liquidity position using any trading pair, as long as there is some on-chain liquidity for those tokens,
Yeah.
right? Because if there is on-chain liquidity for those tokens on another DEX, what we can do is essentially arbitrage those DEXs against your orders once they're in the money, so that your orders get filled properly.
Right. So CarbonDeFi has the ARB Fastlane pretty much built into the system, basically, right? So what it does is it searches all of the chain-wide liquidity to fill all of these orders and to trade against your positions here on CarbonDeFi. Did something just happen with your strategy?
Something did happen. It says,
That was exciting, right?
yeah. So this
Okay,
one
so
was.
you might have seen my eyes light up, right? You can see the notification.
Right. So this is the overlapping strategy we just created, right? Look what
Okay.
happened. Someone gave us, it looks like 3.12 USDT, and in return they receive from us 3.11 USDC, right? So now we have in this strategy we have 23.12 USDT and 17.08 USDC, right? So this happened live. Like, I just literally had this created 20 or 30 seconds ago, and you can see that it already traded because we probably provided a good pricing for the swap that person was making, right? So this is why my strategy traded here. And obviously, I set this to 1 basis point for my fee tier, right? And the more this thing trades, I'm capturing that 1 basis point as profit for myself.
Right.
Right.
And
So,
this is auto compounding. I wanted to touch on this also. So if
right.
you're familiar with concentrated liquidity, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, right? Something I just want to point out here is that, as Glenn is saying, he set his fee tier to, what did you do? 1 basis point?
1 basis point,
1
right?
basis point. Okay. So as he's earning this, the fee tier is the spread, is the profit, right? Whatever you want to call it. As that he's acquiring this or he's earning this, it is automatically added back into his position. So his profits are auto compounding with a CarbonDeFi concentrated liquidity position. So you don't need to. Are you having more action here? This is fun.
I am having a lot more stuff happening.
Yeah.
It looks like something already sold. So I bought some USDT, right? Down here, this was my first trade, right? It looks like what I did here was now I sold some USDT for USDC. So now it traded in the opposite direction,
Nice.
right? So this thing is just going back and forth, trading already, right? So this is like the power of essentially carbon, right? That you can create these concentrated liquidity positions relatively easy, right? And because we have this ARB Fastlane arbitrage framework, right? As long as there's a price discrepancy that exists on chain, it will fill your order. Or a lot of the aggregators on Sei will also know about carbon, and that means that people trading USDC for USDT and vice versa via an aggregator, they could potentially be routed through us if we're providing good pricing, right?
Right.
So This
It's nice
is
it's not dependent on any, aggregators. It's wonderful to have the aggregators. It's wonderful to have the orders filled and everything else, right? But it is nice to have this, 24/7 bot acting as this solver,
right.
going and searching all of the chain-wide liquidity to make sure that even if there isn't this taker on the other side, right, in the
Mhm.
form of an aggregator or a trader or another arbitrager, there is this system built in to continuously search to see that the orders are filled and that your positions are traded against.
Yeah,
Glenn,
and check
before
this out. My other strategy that I created, this was the buy low, sell high, right? It was at 0.91 at one.
the
Uh,
recurring strategy that you created
yeah,
first, yeah,
yeah. So we funded this essentially with 2 USDC and 2 USDT,
yeah.
right? So we sold our 2 USDT, we sold it at one, right? And then we
Mhm.
acquired 2 USDC. So this strategy now has 4 USDC that's ready to buy at 0.99,
This is
right?
awesome. I love the fact that we can see this because now we really actually like have the opportunity to show the activity. What Glenn is
Right.
showing you right now is the activity for all of the strategies. And I know it sounds like, okay, yeah, that's obvious, right? We're looking at what the activity is, but this isn't something that you'll find on a lot of AMMs or DEXs at all, at least not this sort of transparency into what's happening with your liquidity. Right. The way we won't get technical. I don't want to get into like technical and the mechanics of carbon DeFi and all of that, Glenn. But
Mhm.
in its simplest terms, because of the way that carbon DeFi was created, right? Because of this technology, we're able to have so much more transparency into what is actually happening with your liquidity. And with that, you're really able um, to gain a lot more knowledge, right? Like what's happening with my liquidity? How can I improve this sort of strategy? Where did I sell? Where did I buy? Like it's really useful knowledge to have when you're looking to become a better trader, become a better liquidity provider, even for token projects.
Right. Absolutely. The activity is great. It shows you all the trades that have occurred. You can export this to a CSV and save this for your own like historical purposes. Definitely there as a tool to like help you out and figure out what your strategy has been doing over time.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. So the last thing I want to show you is we can show you what this looks like on the quote unquote like the order book like visualization here. You can see that after like I did all that funding, right, how much USDC we have, etc. Right. So you can see here that we have roughly 22 USDT on this side. And then on the other side, we have 26, right? This shows you the amounts available, different prices, right? Typically what you're already used to if you're traded on SEX, but you can also come here and then you can swap, right? Like if you want to, for example, buy USDT, you might have some USDC, you want to get some USDT, you can say, I want to do 5 here, right? And then it tells you, okay, you're going to receive 4.98 3953 USDT if you pay 5 USDC, right? Now, this is what I have in my wallet. I have 25, so I can definitely make this swap. The other thing that can happen is someone might want to do the opposite swap, right? They have 5 USDT. They want to get some USDC, right? It tells you how much it's going to give you here, right? So um, you can click here. Routing will show you how many orders you're touching on Carbon. In this case, there's just one order that you're touching. So that's good. If there were multiple USDC, USDT strategies, this will show you all the strategies that you are touching at that point in time. And you can always like uncheck some of these and maybe just select a few of them. This is something that you might do if, for example, you might find that out of all the orders that you're getting, maybe 5 orders will fill your strategy. You might find that maybe like 3 of those orders get you 95% of the way there. And then the other 2 orders are just like creating more gas overhead for your swap that you're going to make. In which case, you might want to just unselect those and select the 3 that get you like 95% of the way there. Right.
Glenn,
This is
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
sure.
Okay, so two things really quickly with what you're saying. One
Right.
is one is talking about the different strategies that you're pulling from if you were to act as a taker and trade on this trade page.
Mhm.
Up to 3, I believe. Please don't quote me, but this is what I remember, if I remember correctly. Gas doesn't change, right? So Carbon DeFi was created. I mean, it's constantly being improved upon, right? You would hope any product
Mhm.
always is, but gas is super, super efficient on Carbon DeFi. So even when you're pulling from 3, I believe, strategies, gas is going to be the same. I also, if I may, Glenn, I hope like as he's showing you the trade page, I just want to remind everybody, in my opinion, I definitely see Carbon DeFi as more of the maker sort of product. I recommend going in and creating this. Like, if just as easily as you can go in here and trade against any of these strategies, you can go in as a maker and say, I only want to trade if I'm going to be getting this much, right? You have more control over your liquidity, over what it is that you're going to be receiving. What you determine as your price is exactly what you'll receive. So, although you have the ability to go in here and do this, I definitely recommend going in as a maker, creating this strategy. This is also when you won't be paying any of the trading fees or the gas fees when your orders are filled, also.
Yeah, it's a good point. The reason why I mentioned like which orders you can take as a taker, it's just because you have that flexibility, right?
Yes,
As to which ones you can take. Obviously, on say V2, I don't think it makes much sense to essentially deselect the orders because the gas is already extremely cheap, right?
right,
So it's not gonna be that much of a difference. But in other networks, that might make a difference. Like Carbon is deployed on Ethereum, right? And when Ethereum does have periods where it's quite costly to transact, that might save you like a few dollars or something, right? But I do also want to emphasize, like Jen said, Carbon is very, very gas efficient. I think roughly you can take 6 to 8 orders at the same time, and that would be the equivalent of swapping via UniV3,
mm,
right? Just because our pools, if you want to call them that, right, or our, I guess you can say, our trading pairs, right? Essentially, we don't have the concept of a pricing oracle, right? Which is what other concentrated liquidity dex is. For any trading pair, you can essentially query like what is the pool price, right? And that becomes kind of expensive because every time there's a swap, you have to update that price oracle, and that's a cost to you, right? On Carbon, there are no price oracles, right? The makers here tells us what price they're willing to buy and sell at, right? And that's what we respect. So there's no need to have any like price oracles. The other concept is we don't have ticks, right? When
right,
you're swapping on other dexes that have a concept of a tick or a bucket, and you're going across a tick or a bucket boundary as you're swapping, then that also becomes gas intensive. And obviously, that is an extra cost that you have to essentially pay.
right. There was one more point that I wanted to touch on. I don't remember what it was because I was glad that you had mentioned ticks. Oh, I know what
Mm.
it was. You had mentioned editing prices,
Yeah,
right?
editing prices. We can definitely go and edit prices here. So let's
I
go
know
ahead.
we're 35 minutes into this. And again, I mean, we have, a few hundred people that are watching, and I love that you all are interested in this. And I was expecting it to be shorter, but Glenn, before we call it, this is a really, really important point that I wanted to make. And I'm glad that you mentioned editing prices because this is one of the huge benefits of creating a concentrated liquidity position on Carbon DeFi. In
Right.
addition to the custom fee tiers or spread or profit margin, however you want to call it, right? And the auto compounding of the profits. This is something that is like a huge benefit to users, and for a few different reasons. But go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely edit prices here without any issues. So I'm showing you this is another overlapping liquidity strategy or concentrated liquidity strategy, right? There is edit prices here. It's asking me the price of USDT because we don't have the data yet to get that. So I'll just say 1 again, confirm here.
And again, once this data is available, once these trades happen on Sei V2, this will be automatic, right? This will all be there and available. This isn't something that's going to be manually done. Is that right, Glenn?
Yeah. So once we have good pricing data, you're not going to have to enter the price of a token, as long as that token has pricing data, right? But sometimes you might want to sort of list a new token on Carbon, right? Let's say you create a test token and you want to create a trading pair with test token and USDC. It's going to ask you what is the price of test token, in USDC terms. And you might want to say, you know what, this new token that I created, I want to start selling it at maybe like 0.10 cents. So you can type in 0.10 USDC, right? And that is the price that you're setting, right? Because we don't know about what price that token has if it hasn't been on the market trading for a little bit. And, it has to be listed on like CoinGecko or CMC or another one of these sites where you can get the pricing data from.
Got it.
Cool. So, so this is a concentrated liquidity strategy, right? And what I've done here is I'm going to update this to be 0.98 to
strategy is executing, right? It's doing well. So it's like, if you wanted to go in, here's the thing. Like Glenn is showing you this, right? You don't have to go in and edit your prices if you're happy with the way that you like the prices that you had already determined, right? Like you have the ability to go in, name the price that you want to buy your tokens at, name the price that you want to sell your tokens at. That is exactly what you'll receive. If you want to go in and edit your prices, if the market is making moves, if you decide you're just not happy with what it is that you have chosen or determined in the first place, right? Then you can go in here. You very simply go into your strategies. You look at that overview card. You can go in and you can manage your position. You can edit your prices.
Right. So yeah, I'm going to edit this price here. It's just telling me that I have 1 USDT here. And I've also allocated 1.01 USDC. As I'm editing my prices, it's going to tell me that I need a little bit of USDC to deposit here. So I'm going to confirm these changes. And let me go ahead and hit OK here. I can.
While you do that, Glenn, I just want to point out to everybody that I shared 2 articles in the comments. The first one was on the recurring orders. This is that sort of non-overlapping concentrated position that Glenn had showed us first. Second article is focused on your sort of traditional concentrated liquidity position as it is on Carbon DeFi. So I just want to point those 2 out. Definitely give those a read. It kind of gives that sort of breakdown of what these positions are, how you can really benefit from them.
Right. So it looks like this thing already went through in terms of editing. You can see that my 0.98 is my min price, 1.02. It's my max price here, essentially for both the buy and the sell orders, right?
Nice.
So that was that's a price edit on the fly. So these are overlapping strategies. You can also do a price edit on your non-overlapping strategies, right? So this is the non-overlapping strategy we created and now has 4 USDC.
So the overlapping, really fast, Glenn, while you do that, the overlapping ones in like position that you had just edited your prices for, when you said on the fly, if anybody is familiar with concentrated liquidity positions or like traditional concentrated liquidity positions, you'll know that you have to withdraw your funds, recreate that position and redeposit your funds, right? So it's 3, 4 more steps that are required in order to achieve what Glenn just achieved in his one super fast on the fly step that he just showed us.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
More gas efficient,
more gas efficient, less number of steps if you want to sort of, I guess, move your prices around for whatever reason, right? You might be out of range. You want to go back in range, right? You can certainly do that on Carbon easily, right? With a single just edit prices.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, you're showing us the
Yeah, I just wanted to show you that you can do the same thing on your
recurring
buy low or recurring strategies, right? So this one was buying at, I think it was 0.99 initially, right? And it's selling at 1. So you can do this at 1.01, right? It's where we're selling. And maybe we'll just say here we'll buy at 0.98. And once you go ahead, you can confirm the changes and have that strategy be updated. So that's something you can do on both recurring and non-recurring strategies, as well as the overlapping liquidity or concentrated liquidity strategies, right? So easily update your prices across all type of carbon strategies.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn. Is there anything else that you want to add? I feel like we covered this pretty well.
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. And,
It's nice to see the strategies actually like being traded again, like live on the call, right?
Yeah, I mean, we saw a couple of trades that occurred, actually 3 of them so far. So it's great that we could see this happening live so you can actually get an idea of the product and see those updates come through.
Yeah, it was great. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. Again, for everybody that tuned in, thank you so much. Whether it's live or you're watching the recording, definitely appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, please reach out to myself or to Glenn. You can join the Carbon DeFi Telegram, CarbonDeFi.xyz, and definitely give Bancor and Carbon DeFi a follow on Twitter as well. Glenn, I don't think we have your Twitter handle in here. Do you mind if I share it in the comments? So if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you. I mean, it's pretty, you're here as friends. So
yeah, you can share it.
You guys.
It's just Primal Glenn, right? You can share it here. Usually pretty active on Twitter. So you reach out via DMs.
Cool.
Should be able to reply. You can also reach out to me via Telegram, Primal Glenn. Discord as well as Primal Glenn. It should be the same across all 3 platforms.
Awesome. Anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Glenn, thank you so much for doing this with me. It was actually really fun to see, like I said, your strategy is actually being traded against. Well, now you guys know, right? When we say Carbon DeFi is live on Sei V2, you see firsthand Carbon DeFi is live on Sei V2. So exciting times.
Right. And you can always, if you want to look at my strategies, you can go to the Explore tab there and just type in USDC.
Oh,
yeah, you'll see my trading. You'll see my trading, my strategies that I created for these trading pairs, and see the historical, the historical trades that have occurred, and click on the transaction, and then you can see what that transaction looked like. I believe we go to Sei Trace. So that's where you can sort of see all the trades that have occurred.
Really fast, Glenn, while we're talking about the Explorer, I just want to point something out, and I'm not sure that we did. And maybe you can kind of refine my statement a little bit, right? If I'm not super clear on this. But when you go and you look at any of these token pairs and things, you don't have to, you'll sometimes with a traditional AMM, you'll be like, oh, there isn't a pool, an existing pool for this. I know we had mentioned it earlier. Carbon DeFi doesn't have pools in this sense, right? So if you don't see that there is a strategy created with 2 tokens that you want to trade, this does not affect you at all. This has nothing to do with Carbon DeFi. You're going in and still create that strategy, pair those 2 standard ERC20 tokens that you want to trade. It's completely independent of what others are doing on Carbon DeFi. So this is great to see what they're doing, kind of see what token pairs they might be trading. But Glenn, what are you doing?
I was scrolling up and down But no, you can sort of see for the USDT USDC trading pair all the strategies that are here. These are the ones that I created, right? So you can always go ahead and view these strategies and essentially look at the history for it, right? So that's available to you. That will show you the trades. But yeah, there's others here as well that you can browse. And if it's not listed here, you can always go ahead and create that strategy under that trading pair.
Yep. Awesome. Again, Glenn, thank you so much. All of the viewers, everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. Please, I encourage you to reach out to either one of us with any questions you might have. We will hopefully do this again. Glenn, I'd love to do this for the other order types and things if you'd join me.
Yeah, we can certainly do more strategies for the other order types and for other like trading pairs, right? I think Sei V2 is coming online. We're seeing a lot of these ERC20 tokens that are going to be bridged over from either Ethereum, right? Via, I guess, some of the bridge providers that they have, whether that's like Axelar, Layer Zero, Wormhole, right? We're going to start getting a lot of these tokens bridge over to Sei V2. And we're also going to have some native tokens that are going to be created on Sei V2. And yeah, would love to create some strategies for popular trading pairs. And hopefully by that point in time, we'll also have some trading data or pricing data, I should say, so we can show you the simulator and we can play around with that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. We'll see you guys.